it was mentioned the other day where I can't remember, one of the ESPN shows, they were like, well, if Giannis is on the move, like, where would he want to go? And Windhorst was like, well, he might want to stay out east. And they started talking about who are the teams that could make a move for Giannis and still have a contender for him to play with. And everybody seemed to bring up Boston. And I was watching the clip and I was like, don't they know that they can't make this work? I've tried in the trade machine. Can't make it work. And Wendy didn't, who I really respect when Wendy's kind of like talking about different whispers. Like, we've all seen the meme, right? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
So we've all seen that. Exactly. So when Wendy didn't blow it off and was like, yeah, Boston could be a team, but just kind of said it in passing, I was like, oh, okay. He would have probably shut that down pretty quickly if he was like, no chance that this is happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's just a lot of unknowns, but this gets back to the point that you just made, Greg, that Rob brought up, where if you do all the moves at once, you could make this work. And it also speaks to how fucking complex this second apron is, because Jaylen Brown and Giannis, do you know what their difference in salary is next year, Greg?
Their difference in salary, I'm looking at it right now. It's about $1 million.
$1 million. And because it's $1 million difference, it has to be like a 4 or 5 team mega trade just to even try to figure out a way to make it. Like, it shouldn't be that complicated for guys that close in salary. Like, that's where this gets a little ridiculous. So I'm going to bring this up here. We're going to put it on the screen. I'm sure there's a mistake somewhere in here, but the general theme of the trade will prevail. So let's find a way to get Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Boston Celtics, Greg. Here's what I came up with, and it's a doozy. And this will definitely include picks going to different places here. So we're not going to get into what picks going where, but I would assume in this trade, the Celtics are going to have very little pick equity once this is all said and done. But for the Celtics, let's start here. This is a 4-team trade. We got the Celtics, the Nets, the Bucks, and the Mavericks yet again. Mavericks, I'm really putting a lot of stock in them being interested in Drew Holiday. This is the third different trade we have with Drew Holiday going to the Mavericks. So for the Celtics, outgoing, they have Sam Hauser, Jaylen Brown, and Drew Holiday. So all 3 guys at once. This is how we're going to try to make this work here. Incoming in a variety of different ways and shapes and forms, Celtics have Maxwell Lewis, Day'Ron Sharpe, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and all while saving $23.6 million.
That's crazy.
If you can believe that. If you can believe that.
Well done, sir.
Hey, listen, Spot Trek said it was okay. Keith, get at me, man. I'm just going by the machine that you guys built. So, like I said, picks are going out as well, too, here. But this would get you Giannis and save you $23 million. To the Nets, they get Sam Hauser and Daniel Gafford. Outgoing for them, it would be Maxwell Lewis and some form of a sign and trade with Day'Ron Sharpe. So probably some other picks coming to the Nets in that as well. For the Bucks, obviously, Giannis is going out. Incoming for them is going to be Jaylen Brown and PJ Washington.
Like yeah.
And then for the Mavericks, Drew Holiday coming in, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford going out, as well as some form of a sign and trade with Spencer Dinwiddie to make this all work. I would assume in this scenario where we talked about the Mavericks having 3 guys that kind of fit that roughly $15 million dollar mark with PJ, Gafford, and Klay Thompson, I would say the Mavericks get maybe not like an unprotected pick, but they get some form of probably pick compensation with both PJ and Daniel going out, although they're both on expiring deals. So, but we'd have to see how that plays out. But I don't want to get into the semantics of what picks it could be. But listen, don't want to trade Jaylen, but it's Giannis. If this was if there's a path to get Giannis, like Jaylen was just making a tour, like a throughout the Boston public schools, doing like one of the coolest things I've ever seen an athlete do, just impromptu showing up at different schools. This is a blow to the community, but it's Giannis. And in the cold world of fake NBA GMing, if you can get Giannis and save $23 million, you get Giannis and save $23 million.
That's well done, man. You may have broken Keith's machine. Because it doesn't seem like this should work, right?
Because once again, there's like 2 random sign-in trades in there, which only work again if all of this happens at once, at least based on what the machine's telling me, because then that opens up or reduces the restrictions that the Celtics currently face by being so over the second apron and all the other restrictions that go along with it. But yes, that is my Picasso of Giannis becoming a Boston Celtic, so that when Tatum comes back, you still have Derek White, you have Jason Tatum, and you have Giannis, and you figure out the rest.
And you still have Porzingis in this deal.
Yeah, you would still have Porzingis in this deal as well too. Yeah, and you have Peyton Pritchard. So that's the group. You kind of see what happens.
So where are
and
the picks coming from?
So I mean the picks. I mean the Celtics have all their own picks, right? So the
Right.
Celtics are likely losing most of their picks in this.
And
Is
they're
what I'm
going
assuming.
maybe like one to the Mavs, one
I think
to
it's
the
at least.
Bucks or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is there's probably 3 picks going out, probably 2 to the Bucks, 1 to the Mavericks in some form. And
Yeah.
like I said, the Mavericks one, I'm sure you can throw some protections on it. And I think with PJ Washington, with the Celtics getting the Mavericks involved because of Drew Holiday, and then PJ Washington being rerouted, I think that's what makes it a little. I mean, Jaylen Brown's a very appealing return for Giannis in general if they're going to have to do it. But I think PJ then gives them like, okay, like PJ's a guy that we can now. Because they don't have any of their own picks, right? The Bucks have already traded all their picks, so they have no reason to stink. So it's like we still want to have some guys that we can look to build around.
Yeah.
And now
Jalen and PJ, that's a nice little duo. Like they're both dogs, right? So I think they would both be so pissed to having been traded away from like contending teams to fucking Milwaukee, and then for them to have to like figure out a way to come together.
Hope
as
Dame Lillard comes back from a similar injury to Tatum, but he's 4 or 5, but he's not even 4 or 5. He's like 7, 8 years older.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's your path now, and it's like
it's tough.
That's tough for them, but it's a nice chip on their shoulder.
Those dudes are gonna get buckets. They're gonna put up stats, and PJ Washington is gonna be like, "Yo, fucking pay me after this year. Like, I'm not gonna be a bargain contract after this year. Put me in fucking Milwaukee." No, that's a really shout out to you for figuring that out. I'm trying to think who probably says no. I would say maybe the Mavs. Like, is it worth it for the Mavs to trade PJ, Gafford, and Dinwiddie for Drew?
Well, Dinwiddie's a free agent, so it's like they've got like his bird rights or something. It's once again, this is like a little convoluted, like a sign and trade type deal that only works if everybody's bought in. Like there's a lot of stuff that would have to happen there. Yeah. So
I mean, this is a wild fucking trade that you put together. So I don't think there's like any world in which it happens, but it's definitely fun to talk about and think about. That's what this whole offseason content is all about. So I'm into it, man. Like I think Jalen right now, like I've said, I do not want to trade Jalen for the 50th time. But you get Giannis and you save 23 million, like you said, tough to argue with. I think Jalen, what he's doing though, this offseason, it's pretty special, right? The fact that he's like, you know what, like you want to trade me, it's going to look bad on you Celtics. Cause I am out here in the community. I am like rebuilding this city's reputation with, the black community and whatnot. And I think that would look pretty bad for the Celtics to trade Jaylen Brown, not giving him the opportunity when he is investing so much of his own money and his own efforts into the city of Boston.
Yeah, I mean, he's, to your point, somehow the Celtics ending up with Giannis is at least based on what we know of who could potentially be available. It feels like one of the only, at least scenarios, like I said, that's on our radar where it's like, okay, like it's Giannis, but outside of that, Jalen's going to make you look like an asshole. If you're like, oh yeah, we'll take Desmond Bane and Zach Edey, right? Like to cut costs, like that's going to be he's making that a really, really tough look.